It's now 6:30. I'd like to call this City Council work session to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilperson Cosner,
Here.
Councilman Nestor,
Present.
Councilperson Thomas,
Present.
Councilman Orchakowski,
Present.
Mayor Mosher.
Present.
Mayor, I note 5 present and a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to ask Betty Torrent to come up and lead us in a prayer.
You can bow your heads. Dear Lord, as we gather for this council meeting, we ask for your wisdom and guidance as they deliberate over the items before them. May the discussions be filled with understanding and compassion with a focus on the greater good. Grant them strength to make right decisions that reflect your will and serve the needs of the community. We pray for unity in their thoughts and actions, and may all leave this meeting with a renewed sense of purpose. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It was a Cradle Point, network Cradle Point. I was installed out there because there was a customer I didn't need to get on our network. That's awesome. I was outside. That was cold.
Okay. We do not have the minutes prepared yet, so we'll put that off until the next council meeting on the 23rd. At this time, I'd like to ask for any public comment on the agenda items only.
Like the glasses, Ernie.
Ernie Telegraphist, 29 Rex. To start off the agenda, I'm amazed why one member of council was overlooked. Why isn't Lois Thomas on those agenda papers?
We asked her if she had anything she wanted on the agenda. She didn't say anything.
Well, they should at least consider you as a councilman.
We did.
Okay, now, I'd like to talk to the attorney. Why are we paying 3 different CSX railroad easement fees?
Those are the review fees that
What does
the
that mean?
railroad charges. I'm going to tell you what it means. To review the city's plans to conduct work underneath the railroad.
So they're charging us
Mhm.
to do our repair jobs.
Yeah. To do work under their property, their
Okay.
railway line.
Now, this is for, what do you call it, planning.
Mhm.
Now, what happens when we go to implement construction? Is there another fee?
You don't know.
We don't know, but it seems unlikely that there is going to be a license fee for this.
A license fee?
It's unlikely
Oh,
at this
unlike-
point.
Okay, so this is one-time charge then, those 3,
I'm not going to definitively say that, right? They haven't gotten through the process to review the city's plans. But keep in mind, this is a lining project. There's not going to be any digging. They're going to look at it and determine what the city needs to do.
Okay, so
For,
listen,
for instance, if you had to dig under these railroad lines, right? Maybe, and it doesn't appear that any of the lines are broken, that you would have to dig at this point. They require flaggers and a whole bunch of different things for safety.
the railroad people.
Yes.
And then we pay for that.
Yeah. I mean, this is the railway line is a property interest. It's their property. They own it from here clear down to Pittsburgh and everywhere else it goes, right? So they have interest that they want to make sure that whatever you're doing under there is going to be sustainable.
Maybe we should go into the air and have an overpass.
Then you would need a pump station to pump.
It might be cheaper than paying them
Pump stations are a couple $1 million at least.
a couple million.
Uh-huh.
Well, I hope over 30 years we don't end up paying a couple million. But anyway,
So, go ahead, Eric.
okay, this is for you, Tony.
Well, before you get to me, I do have a question on that then.
Go ahead.
So if that's the case,
Yeah.
this is the right for them to review
Mhm.
what we're going to do.
Mhm.
I'll say a stupid thing out, that we go up to where their track is, stop, go on the other side, go.
That's right.
Paying,
do that?
paying this fee to go underneath the
This is gonna
railroad
be
to
in
fix
discussion, too.
100-year-old sewage lines to prevent them from collapsing under the railroad tracks is much more economical than having a collapse.
Oh, I don't doubt that, but the point of the matter is the amount they want, just to review it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I,
So when we do it, we should charge them back something just because we aligned it, we surfaced their line that won't collapse now for the next 100 years.
they're your lines.
But we're not, there are lines under their railroad.
Yes.
But who was there
She
first?
gave it
It's
to
just
me
like the
too.
chicken and the.
Where?
It's in your packet.
We were there first, Mayor?
Kind of simultaneously, let's say,
I'll edit that and we'll.
from what we could tell.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I think.
I have evidence to the contrary. I will describe that when we get to that in the
Yeah, I mean,
thing.
So if you want to.
The mayor worked with the Historical Society to kind of piece together the timeline the best of his ability, which included very old maps, very old, I don't even
Council
think
meetings?
it wasn't even a council at the time, handwritten
was.
meetings, 18, what?
98 was when they built the railroad. It was 1902 when they built the pipe.
Okay, when did we incorporate it?
1924,
Yeah, take that card there.
That late?
yeah.
Yes.
It was a borough at the time.
So we
I
should have-
believe so,
We should have
yes.
3,
Should have more than 3.
I mean, on the road right now.
Okay, Tony,
Yes,
I see you got all these payments to make today. Now, can you tell me,
no different than any other.
okay, where are we as far as being in the red for the month of December? Just give me an estimate. If you can give me the exact figures next meeting.
I don't think I'll be able to give you the exact figures next meeting because it fluctuates from the next meeting to the end of the month. We still have to pay what comes in.
Okay, so when would you know? The first meeting in January?
Oh, I know, I would know exactly where we came, but I have a rough idea now where we're gonna be.
Okay, where are we roughly?
If everything holds where it is, and I calculated out next payroll, garbage, what we have to pay today, expenses for the city on an average of the December. Now, it's tricky because I give you a number, you're gonna try to hold me to
Well,
this
no,
number.
come on, did I strong arm you the last time?
You didn't do it the last time, I didn't pay you.
Oh,
no.
okay.
All right, it looks like it's going to be, give or take, on both sides, around $200,000
In the red,
in the black.
in the black. How are we gonna go in the black whenever everything's going?
It's a good thing. Why, now you want to question me on how we did something positive.
it sounds-
It's not a bad thing, Ernie.
It sounds like you're playing Santa Claus.
Ho, ho, ho. It's 200. If it's close to it, that's what I'm looking at roughly it's going to be. But you have to remember something.
What's that?
You can't sit there and say, wow, if, say we are $200,000 in the black, okay?
Or in the red?
No,
No?
In the black.
You're really aiming for the black? huh?
yes, I know, okay. That is not what I would say a surplus over the end of the year.
Then what is it then?
Well, you gotta remember, that money has to carry over into next year. Because we don't get taxes till March or April go out. So,
Employees.
Yeah, but you got the TAN note January.
but getting a TAN note is like taking a loan against your credit card bills, okay? If we didn't get a TAN note and they said, every bank would tell us, no, we're not doing it, we'd shut down in middle of January.
Well, not if you put the mayor's credit on the line.
We'd shut down in December.
You
The
should've
point of
said
the
that
matter
earlier.
is, until, as the auditors have stated, we can carry over fully the whole year into the next year when we don't have taxes, be able to pay our bills, and supposedly, hopefully have a little bit of a cushion of a couple $100,000. They estimated our city should do something around the nature of $600,000, which ain't never going to happen.
600,000.
But that's what the auditors have projected to say, that's where we should, they would like us to be. It's never gonna happen. So I'll be happy to say we're maybe $200,000 in the black, and we carry into January, a little bit of February, because everything we carry over, you gotta remember, that's less than the TAN note that we have to use, because we gotta pay it back. So I would rather love not having a TAN note at all, but that's not reality.
I just got one question for the mayor. Mayor, what are we doing to bring industry into the city of Monessen so we could get people to populate and increase our tax-based revenue?
First off, Ernie, I'd like to invite you next Thursday at about 6:30, 7 o'clock. I will hold a public hearing, a public meeting, and we can talk about all those different issues.
you are?
Yep.
Okay, I'll be there. If it's gonna be a big one or a long one, bring pizza.
All right.
Anybody else?
Ed LaFever on Keystone Drive. I guess I didn't hear too clearly. The CSX Railroad. What is this money used for?
We'll discuss that entirely when it gets to that in the agenda. That's what this whole agenda is for, is to discuss these items.
Okay, I understand. But if the railroad is concerned about collapsing, that's their problem.
Not
They
if we
should pay
caused
for it.
Not if we caused it.
Are we paying for, is the city paying for that?
If the pipe collapses,
No, shouldn't the railroad be concerned at these 3 different sites that there may be a collapse and that they should take some action to correct it on their own?
it's the city's sewage lines. The city's sewage lines go.
I understand that,
We are
but,
totally liable for
but
it.
why not a cooperation between both entities to correct the problem? Like
Probably
sharing,
is.
say it costs $100,000, well, city puts up half, railroad puts up half.
You ever dealt with a railroad company before?
No, you know I haven't.
Yeah, they're not the most easy to deal with entities.
I think an attorney with a lot of smarts could take care of that problem.
So you're calling me stupid now?
No, I'm not calling you stupid. I'm
okay.
not.
We'll discuss the.
Are you
sewage.
are you the attorney in charge of all that?
I am the city solicitor. Yes.
Okay, how about the railroad? They have an attorney
They
also.
have attorneys who are not involved in this. This is their engineering department. But you'll hear all that when council's ready to discuss it later in the meeting.
Okay. One other question.
There. The sewage lines? Yes. Yes. It's the city's sewage lines.
The one line, the railroad line?
It's no different than if a sewage line collapses along Donner Avenue and 3rd Street. The city's required to fix it.
Let them pay for that one. Why aren't they paying?
No different. The only problem is the railroad owns the railroad right away. It's their property.
But I'm gonna bring it up.
One other, I guess,
Oh, I remember that.
Mayor, you're going to thoroughly discuss Section L about this Spirit Partners of Marysville. You're going to really explain everything in there.
I will
Like,
try my best.
Like, what's IT, what's PA connection? You're going to outline everything.
To the
And
best
then-
of my ability.
Pardon me?
To the best of my ability.
Okay, that's all.
For training or something?
Yeah, I think that's
Or
the.
like the new, like when they do the course?
I think that's the civil service.
Service, okay.
I could've told you that.
Nobody else? Oh,
What's up, Yoko?
I'm talking to this one.
no, the other one.
My name is John Yankulix. I live at 331 Valley Manor. The holes on 3rd Street, are they ever going to fix them? Like patch them or whatever?
What holes on 3rd Street are you referring to?
The little holes, like when you come down from Columbo's down to where Boozy's is in the high rise.
that pavement was guaranteed. If there's holes on it, I need to see those holes and we need to get them corrected, yes.
Okay, I'll show them to you.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
'Cause
Hand me that mic.
when you come down from Columbus, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah? There should not be any problems there.
You come down from Columbus, like down from Friends Club, there's like a couple little holes here and there, it's like sinking through the black top.
We'll address that.
Yeah. It's been too cold for me to be walking, so I haven't seen anything.
Does anybody have any correspondence they'd like to bring forth?
No, Mayor.
New business, let's continue on. Talk about the TAN note for just a couple of seconds here. I don't think it's pretty cut and dry. We've talked about this before, but it needs to be on the agenda. Just for everybody's information, the amount is for $500,000. The purpose is to provide working capital until the anticipated tax revenues for fiscal year 2025 are collected. It's to be paid in full by December 31st of 2025. The rate is 6.25%, provided the loan is determined to be a qualified tax exempt obligation, which it is. We're a tax exempt organization, as evident by the appropriate opinion from the city solicitor. Repayment, all outstanding balance, principal and accrued interest will be due and payable on or before December 31st, 2025. There is a UCC lien on all tax revenues for the 2025 year. There is no prepayment penalty. If we prepay it, we can prepay it. And for people's information, we've prepaid the last 2 years by, I think June was the latest that we did it. But anyway, it gets prepaid before the middle of the year. So that's never been a problem. We end up saving a lot of money in interest.
Can I add to that?
You may.
Yeah, the bank sent over all the documents, so it will be ready for December 23rd meeting. The one thing the city will need to put together is the cash flow calculation worksheet. That's showing your anticipated revenues coming in. We did one last year, it just needs to be updated with this year's numbers, so we can work on that. I believe it's an Excel spreadsheet. So that's one thing that you're gonna have to work with your city clerk to put together to finalize it.
Okay. I did see there's a page 2 to what I was talking about too. There's an estimated $2,000. Well, the city will be responsible for the following document preparation, filing, and recording expenses noted below. An estimated $2,000 to the bank's legal counsel for document preparation and a $500 bank origination fee. So it's $2,500 it's going to cost us to make this happen. Other loan conditions, the city will be in agreement to maintain their full banking deposit relationship with CFS Bank. And prior to any closing, the information and documentation is detailed on the attached closing agenda will need to be received by the appropriate parties and approved by the bank. And that's this piece of paper that needs to be signed. It will be signed at our next council meeting. Anybody else got anything else they would like to add toward that?
So this is just mirroring as what we had from last year. pretty
Yeah,
much.
interest rates have gone up a little bit because interest rates have gone up a little
Yeah.
bit.
But other than that, the agreement, everything's just mirrored from last year.
Exactly. In fact, they indicated that it's a pleasure to do business with us, and I indicated back to them it's a pleasure to do business with them. They've been a very easy bank to work with.
So what credit rating do we have?
No idea, don't care.
You don't care?
We got what we wanted.
We are going to put that in its own separate little, like we did last year.
We can, we still have that account there, so that's not a problem.
Yeah, let's make sure it goes in there.
Not a problem. Anything else that anybody would like to discuss about it?
No,
It's pretty cut
their
and dry.
work, yeah.
Pretty
and
cut and
dry.
dry.
Wish we
It's
would.
a good thing.
Talk a little bit about what's been going on over at the Civic Center the last few weeks. So first off, we've installed video cameras over there. More specifically, we have connected the video cameras that are over there through a very secure VPN such that they're available to the Treasury office. That's the only place that they're available. It's a very secure VPN. It's something I worked long and hard with PA Connect to make happen. But the camera, that gives our Treasury Department, who collects the money, the ability to see what's going on over there and can verify that people are renting it and doing what they're supposed to be doing and cleaning it up. So we got that accomplished. We're still working, and maybe Karen can help me with this a little bit. We're still working to find a person to manage that facility, and Karen's got some ideas towards that. In the meantime, Mike has been going over there every day at 4 o'clock, 4:30, and opening it up for the events that are scheduled over there, and then following up and closing it back up at the end of those events. So right now, we're using a city administrator
Thank you, Mike.
to take care of opening and closing that civic center every day, and I appreciate that myself. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that, Mike?
Question.
No, this is not a question and answer.
I think that we have one applicant that has applied for the positions, and I wish we could find more or have a better pool of folks to look for. Well, it's a woman, and she would be qualified, but I mean, I think council would like to put together a list.
You've actually got an applicant too, is that right?
I don't know if he was supposed to come in yesterday. I don't know if he did or not.
Okay,
Not the person that you spoke to me about.
yeah.
One of the questions, though, is the security system there. We were talking about maybe updating that lock and key system or the fob type system, so they could come in and out with the basketball and other events, and then the next day the system would be shut down and. the
That would
numbers
save
be
you from
changed
going
over.
over there.
Well, anybody, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it
that would
would-
help, yeah.
The only issue with that is the cost of that.
Well, I'm willing to continue to do the job until we can find the person that would be there. But that was just one suggestion that we had talked about, trying to do that. But cost is a consideration.
One of the things that everybody should be aware of too, there's been some increased, how can I say this? Increased pressure on the city to follow the CDBG rules. In 2019, I think it was, when Urban Design was the CDBG coordinator, they got some money for us to do kitchen equipment, and we spent that money installing kitchen equipment, buying some ping pong tables, basketballs, a number of things. It was something in the neighborhood of about $30,000, as I recall. The point being is here, we went through a CDBG audit, and the audit basically said, oh, when Urban Design did this agreement, they checked the wrong box. And by checking the wrong box, it means that we have to have evidence that the 51% of the people that use the Civic Center, use that facility, are low, medium income people, low income people. So you can imagine what that means. It means you've got to go back and find these kids, talk to their parents, and get them to tell you how much money they earn. That's not an easy thing to do, not an easy accomplishment to do. It's a real problem. It's not fair, it's not right, it's not anything. So what we did is we worked a deal with, what's her name? Alicia, who's doing the basketball teams this year.
Yep.
And she basically took it upon herself, as they were registering for this year's events, to talk to the people, talk to their parents, and get this information. The point being is she was able to get 51% of the people that met the low and medium income to agree to fill out the paperwork. And it saved the city some $30,000 that we would have had to pay back to DCED had we not been able to do that. Well, the point being, she saved the city a lot of money. What we did is we worked a deal with her where we cut the cost of her using the Civic Center in half, basically. So she got something out of it. We got something out of it. Everybody was a win-win all the way across the table.
Is this a one-time report?
This is a one-time report. Now, just so everybody knows, we're talking about repaving Knox next year from 10th Street to 14th Street. We have to do the same thing. We have to go door to door and collect the information, income information from people, and have to have 51% of the people that meet the LMI requirements in order to pave that road. It's just not a fun thing to do. I'm gonna ask Marvin
And this is from the same.
Lloyd to do that.
Presented by Urban Design.
This one is coming from Charlie Fees, our DCED rep that takes care of the city. He's the one that performs the audit, that decide Urban Design didn't check the right box, blah, blah, blah.
But who performed that grant at the time?
The one that we're doing for Knox,
Yeah.
that is one that we're doing right now. That is a current 2024 project that we still have to go through lots of procedure to get that.
Was there a change to the CDBG regulations?
I don't know if there's a change to it, or if that we're just under additional scrutiny, or if we just got somebody at DCD that's trying to make a name for themselves.
I'm just kinda
I've never heard us having to do that when anything else is on CDBG.
exactly.
Anytime you're audited, it happens, and this was our first audit that we've had with CDBG, so that's
I
why
was
that
gonna
came.
say,
But they did not do John, you were asking where the genesis was. It was Urban Design's issue, and also DCD.
Because
We
they,
got caught in the middle, but we rectified it, and it is now put to bed to.
I
move
just find it
ahead.
intrusive, but more importantly, I
Yes.
don't see us doing this when we were doing Third Street.
right.
So is
And
that
I-
gonna happen from now on?
No, this was our one audit for, I think, the next few years.
But,
yeah.
but
Well,
Knox,
there'll be another audit.
as an example, they're
in the
not
future.
requiring anything for 9th Street. We're gonna do 9th Street too. 9th Street and 3rd Street were justified upon the traffic that was going through there and the presumption that 51% of the people that went through that met the LMI requirement. And you have to understand, the entire city as a whole meets the LMI requirement. If you look at particular sections of town, the only sections of towns that don't is up around Malaysia and a little bit above Park Plan. But if you boil them in with the entire city, still 51% of the city is LMI, low medium income, citywide. And that allows you to do big roads. Not to get hung up on this subject, but also we're talking about doing the Veterans Way between Schoonmaker and Donner there in front of Rite Aid, the little bitty short stretch that goes both directions. We want to get that repaved. And I was able to get that repaved based upon the presumption that the whole city is going to make use of that. RSV is the one that's helping us through all these different issues, providing us guidance on how we get there. That's not a question and answer session.
Ron, we're still on B, right?
Yes,
Okay, so where do we stand as far as, I thought we were done, interviewing for that?
we've interviewed several different people, but none of them none of them satisfied everybody.
So we're still don't have anybody then there for running the civic center?
That is correct. The only person that's doing anything is
It's been a
Mike.
long time.
It's been a long time.
So the people, all the people interviewed, nobody, you guys weren't able to come to an agreement on none of them?
I don't think we've had interviews yet, Mayor.
Well, we've interviewed at least a couple. One at once, for sure.
We haven't seen it, they have.
Informal interview process, I would say.
one
No, we
person
haven't
that I was
scheduled
aware
the
of.
formal because we wanted to have the
List of
full
names,
day.
so we can go back and maybe we can do an interview.
That's a question, that's a good question. Why don't we? How many people has it been?
Pardon me?
How many people has it actually been?
Didn't you
I
guys
think just
advertise for
one.
people to come and apply, and I thought
Nobody
people
has
did apply?
applied, no.
So they just came to talk to you, none of these people actually applied, they came?
You know, it's kind of interesting. On the bottom of the web page for boards is two documents. One is a resolution that was passed in 2020, and the other is an application for applying to any of the boards and authorities. As of recent, I've been trying to get everybody that's making an application to fill out that form. It does a couple of things for us, one of which is it provides counsel with some information about the person that we're approving for position on a board or an authority. Without that, it just becomes a little bit of a problem. And we'll talk about that as we get down to some of these people that,
Yeah, but
that-
I'm just pertaining to the Civic Center. I know
Right.
several people, they said they've come down to talk and discuss and apply for the position, and you guys said nobody applied?
I have not seen anybody. Only one person.
One
I should-
gentleman applied,
But
or came in.
I thought somebody, a female did too.
She has sent an, yeah, there is one. This is the one I'm speaking to.
Has she
Yeah.
sent an application in?
So there's two.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's two then.
There's two.
So
at the
two
moment,
then,
but
okay.
None from the advertisement, and no one else in large amounts coming. They talked to
Primarily.
the first applicant that we had, and it was an informal situation. We just met, chatted, gave us some of his background, and said we would have interviews once the advertising came in and other applicants came. But I think it's time we have to do something.
I thought we had already advertised. It took a long
We did,
time for
we
us
did.
to-
We have.
We have advertised, like I said, we have two. Is it time to interview with council?
There was time to interview months ago.
No.
I just thought we had already interviewed.
No. If you want to draw the line and interview these two people, we can set up a time. We can do that next Thursday when we have our executive session.
You fine with that?
Cause what time, it's already what? How long we've been without anybody down there?
Couple months.
Yeah, sometimes we may not get everything we want, but we can work with those people to get them to be where we need them to be.
I agree.
Cause we can't continue to go another whole year with nobody running that civic
Right.
center.
Mike won't last that long.
Right. I just think sometimes you get the best out of what we have and you work with them to get to where they need to be.
I agree.
Would it be comfortable to maybe have those folks come down when we have
I
our
don't know, that's
executive meeting?
something they're gonna have to work with, cause I don't know.
Well, if you're comfortable with it, we'll make it happen on Thursday then.
Would you feel comfortable with that?
Right.
Karen?
We want somebody local that, and well, anyway, we'll interview this Thursday.
So we're still on for Thursday? Or?
Cause if they're
Are
gonna
we-
do
I
that, they need
guess.
time. If they're gonna do
Alright,
that, they
yep,
need time.
okay.
Bring your kids.
I was gonna bring them no matter what.
Popcorn.
Anybody else want to say anything else about the Civic Center? It's just been
No,
a
Mayor.
problematic thing.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
We need, you know, Mike and I have been talking about this RFP for this $75,000 LSA grant that we have. And it's my suggestion, we take that entire grant that we've got, put it in as a request for proposal and see what, we seem to be having issues here.
Is it dropping?
Yes, it's dropping and coming alive again. It's crazy.
So did we get this already?
No,
It's awarded.
it's both of these are awarded?
No. The 72.6 grant is awarded. The lawn to habitat, which is gonna help with Lois's issue at 9th Street behind the wall and some other areas, is in the process of being
Applied for.
applied for. And the Shade Tree Commission and Mark and Karen are gonna be helping with that.
So, do we do the same thing? Do we need to do an RFP for the 72.6?
Yeah, I think that's being administered by our DC and by our
That's-
Shade Tree Commission, is that right?
Well,
Are you doing all the work for that, or how's that work?
They will do the work in conjunction with what we have put together under the plan, but there may be RFPs required, and that's what we're gonna have to work with Joe on to determine which parts of the plan.
What's the purpose of the grant?
Basically, the 6th Street Park area and City Park to remove dead trees and replant vegetation in those areas, and also work on the hillside behind the wall, that comes down from the 6th Street Park area.
So in the past, they've trees.
Yes,
Okay.
and do the other work, yeah.
Okay.
We're not taking questions during the meeting.
so who's gonna oversee this?
We are,
The city.
in conjunction with the Shade Tree Commission.
So my question again is, who's gonna oversee this $72,000?
Council.
What are
The
you talking
city
about for the
council.
watershed?
Yeah.
But that's gonna be determined then, how this works in the logistical stage, but the money is awarded, so it's up to us now to work with them and our solicitor to do that.
So if the money's awarded, where's the money?
In Harrisburg, in their account,
We need to draw it.
yeah, we just they haven't given it to us yet to put into the general fund.
So who's gonna be authorized to draw it?
City
Council.
Hall.
Council,
through
City
council.
Hall, yeah,
So we're controlling the 72,000?
yes.
On behalf of the Shade Tree
And-
Commission,
Well, that's, yeah,
yes.
Are we gonna have anyone who's gonna be managing
And
the
it's a-
project?
it's
so we
That's,
don't go over?
that's what I keep saying, but we need somebody to manage it, because you just don't, I don't care if it's a grant, it's a loan, it's whatever, well, that kind of money, somebody's gotta watch it like a hawk and make sure things don't overrun, oops, we got an overrun. We didn't know, it's not 72, it's 72.5, city's got a $14,500 that we didn't
so,
expect to.
so council and the administration can't do that?
I don't know, I'm just asking that question.
I think we can, and we've told them that we have the ability to do that. It's now gonna be put together with them over a 3-year period.
We can get updates from the group too,
From the,
Shade Tree
It's
Commission.
not making any sense to
and-
me.
what,
You've
Tony,
got-
I don't understand what's not making sense.
Somebody has to, I mean, this 72.6 isn't going in the general fund and say, okay, you can draw or make requests from there and council will approve. This needs to be, in my opinion, its own
Its own
separate
line
entity,
item.
completely out of everything else.
Well, I think that would probably be their wish.
That's probably a requirement of the
Yes.
grant itself, that it's in its own separate account.
And we draw down and submit to them what we've done, and then it works that way.
But,
Like that,
but how are you gonna draw it down? Is someone just gonna say, I need to go, they decide they need to get XYZ worth of stuff, and they go get it and submit a bill? Or does it have to get approved by council before they're allowed to go spend it and use the stuff?
How specific is this grant?
you guys have it in the packet. I mean, I've given you everything that they've indicated to award, but their last step was they wanna meet with us to then determine how we logistically do it.
grant, you just can't go.
So, we're probably gonna have to meet with.
I just think there needs to be some structure and guardrails up for any of this stuff as we go forward, so we don't run into any surprises that pop up and go, oops. I don't want an oops. And I don't want anybody coming to me and saying, well, Tony, we overran by a couple $1,000, we gotta pay the difference.
Now, that can't be and won't happen. But the logistics are gonna be determined by the next meeting that we have with them to do that. Then we'll bring it to council and say, is this acceptable?
Okay, when you said meeting with them, who's them?
PCNR and their representatives that awarded the grant.
So,
But that, they have nothing to do with how it's going to get spent,
Well,
and that's my concern.
they take a very active role in it.
it,
They're here every meeting that they have with the Shade Tree Commission.
it's all here in the project description, right? Part of it is you're gonna cut down trees throughout the city, right? Part of it is you're gonna fix whatever you need to fix up on Sixth Street Park. Obviously, for those items, there's gonna have to be a bidding process, so you're going to know.
But what I'm concerned of, and well, besides that, what I'm really concerned of is the infamous change order.
Well, we'd have to approve anything that
We'd have to
happens.
approve anything.
Any expenditure that goes through council.
No.
But usually what happens with a change order in the city of Monessen is it happens after the fact,
Well-
that it's already done, and then you gotta pay for it.
This is one time that we can control that, I do
Control
believe
that
that.
front.
I'm not,
Gosh, I never thought this would be this difficult to get a $72,000, $600,000, and then when we're getting to the logistics of it, have this much issue. I mean, we're gonna come to council and work with you, and designate the city hall representatives that do the program, Tony. I don't understand.
you still have to have someone designated to manage it. I don't care who you are or what you are, you need to do that.
Would you designate me or allow me to be the project manager of it and work with council on approval of
I
every-
don't think that's applicable right now, to be honestly, for you to be involved in it, because there's too many things else going on that the city on a day-to-day basis needs to have
Then
that.
how would we determine?
How about
who that
Karen?
is? Pardon me?
How about-
We could work with Karen, and Karen could be the manager of. as council?
Actually, these are things that I never even thought about before, till you brought them up. And I don't think we ever had a real discussion about the management of it, other than what we plan to do.
Look, the
And
key-
it's cutting trees down and replacing trees.
The key
It's-
was
but
to
it's
get
not-
it first and then
Yeah.
work with the
It's not as
logistics.
simple, it's not as simple as,
That wasn't part
there's a
of it.
tree, it's marked, it's gonna be dead, cut it down, let's go to the next thing. It's not that simple. I'm sorry.
But it is as simple as, there's a tree that's marked, let's go out for a bid, let's get the bid, and then let's get that company to cut it down. We know what the cost is, that comes off the bottom, you manage that part of the
Right.
project.
Each stage of the process being brought to council for
Right.
approval.
That wasn't a part of this,
I-
was it, Mike?
What's that?
Repairing
Let's be quiet.
Just the upper part, not the, yeah.
If you look at
Yeah,
the
doing
history
around,
of what we run
yes.
into and what we do here,
Not the wall, oh,
That's
God,
what
no.
she's saying.
No, no. There's not enough money, no.
I just think there needs to be a plan in place and some structure, and you just because there's money there doesn't mean you just jump at it. You don't do that. They better not.
No,
No.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't believe so.
it'll be in a separate account. That account may be handled in the same books that the general fund is in, but it will be in a separate bank account, so that it'll be very clear. Just the way
I-
things work,
That, I gave you my opinions.
okay?
That's why we're here for a discussion.
That's exactly right.
So we can meet after we have the meeting with DCNR with you to outline what they think the procedure should be, how it will be implemented, who would be in control, and then
Who's-
get some approval.
Who's they or we? That's where.
DCNR
Okay.
and myself, Mark
Okay.
Valora of the Shade Tree Commission, and Kara.
Okay.
Meet with you
And
to
you,
make sure we
yeah.
have all the controls
And then we come back
established.
to you to say, how do you like this?
That has structure. That I don't have a problem.
That's what we
That's
plan
what,
to
that's
do.
what, we-
That's
that's
what
what
I'm
we've
trying
been
to say.
trying to
But
say.
Yeah.
that wasn't clear.
It is
Planning to
now.
do it and explaining that you, DCNR, Karen, and whatever, and a shade tree is all gonna meet, and then when they decide that, they're gonna come to us. That's structure telling us, not
That's-
saying, we're gonna meet. That doesn't do me any
No,
good.
that's what DCNR wants to have, so
Yeah.
then it's approved.
Well,
If that makes sense.
Okay, we now understand that, now we can continue on,
we have more structure than we did before we talked
or at
about
least
it.
it's understood better,
I'm sorry, we did.
okay?
I got it.
Discussion of the current fee structure and schedule of fees in the city of Monessen. And I believe that Marvin put together a list of fees for everything. Has anybody got any suggestions of what we want to do with that at this point?
Yeah, there's a couple things I think we should reconsider. One, and it's not listed on here, at least I looked at this 4 times and I couldn't find it, our fee for sidewalks needs to change
the street.
drastically.
The street opening.
Just, yeah, we need to make that,
Just the sidewalks.
well, yes, but quite frankly, we need to make that 0, or so minimal it's ridiculous.
Well, there is an inspection, it does cost us something to do it. We've got to do the permits and follow through.
$20.
Okay, $20. I don't have a problem with that.
That,
We're asking people to beautify their sidewalk, which they're putting the labor in, and they're putting the cement in, and they're putting the forms in, and they're putting the time in. Why should we charge them anything? We should just say thank you. I'm sorry, I don't think we should charge them anything.
well, you do want them to get a permit so they can get the specifications that are required for
Right.
their sidewalk.
That's
the
given
only-
to anybody, but the
And
exact
they,
the fee,
they have
And
to,
that
they
we
have to
also-
be able
We
to
also
inspect
put
it to
their
make
fee
sure.
to fire if they don't call 811 prior to doing so.
yeah.
So they need to at least come and report to the city.
Personally, I would suggest we set it at something like 25 or 75 bucks to cover the printing cost, the inspection cost.
I'm trying to find the list.
The yard and waste, didn't it
Fee
used to be
structure.
25, am I wrong in that? I thought that used to be 25, is it 50? No, it's like 50. Am I wrong? Was it 25 before?
Which one was it?
The yard and waste pickup.
I got it.
I
I'm
thought
just
they
trying
used
to
to come
find
and
my.
pick it up for like $25.
There we go.
So who picks that up? Is that us or is
I
that the?
thought I thought the crew would come, if you called in and you said I had a whole bunch of stuff you picked up, the crew would come and pick it up for you as long as you paid something like $25 or something.
It wasn't the garbage collection
Oh,
company.
no, I don't
But
think so.
shouldn't the yard and waste pickups
be all funneled through our new garbage hauler?
That's what I'm saying.
We shouldn't be doing this. Our street guys and ladies have more important things to do than going around and doing that for, that should be, if you wanna pay it, let the hauler come get it, because they're gonna be better equipped to haul it away.
They also may or may not have a charge for that.
That's a plus,
Right, it's up to them. though.
absolutely. So I think we should do that. That's my thought, and
No longer offer that service at all, is what you're saying.
correct, you have to go to, our new garbage collector. I'd like to also have council consider,
There it is, streets and sidewalk
Yeah.
openings, they have as one.
yeah,
Yeah, we wanna bifurcate that.
yes. Also, the amphitheater rental. Make it $100. If you clean it and you don't leave it a mess, you get $50 back.
Almost just like a pavilion.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a amphitheater that costs a couple $100,000 that I don't think 5 people have used in 5 or 8 years that sits there. That's why I'm saying get rid of the fee, except for if you don't clean it up, then we're gonna charge you $50.
Okay, and these charges are pertaining to us, so we didn't see what these were about, and you want us to pay for it?
Wait, whoa, back up, I don't know.
Okay, all those things. you
They're on the
said about
website.
They're on the website.
They're on the website.
Yeah, you
They
can
are.
find,
We supposed to go to the website to see?
you come
Well,
down
they're
here,
listed over there too. There's a stack of, there's papers over there, Linda.
you just assume that you just got it for, go up
You
there,
didn't-
nobody's gonna collect the money, that's our treasury department, all the
Yeah,
money's
you
collected
didn't
by the
pick up-
treasury.
You didn't pick up the other, they're over there, cause I asked it or requested everybody to have copies and all that. They have them sitting over there.
The treasury department. Just so everybody understands, every penny that comes into this city goes through the treasury department.
Apparently you didn't do enough copies.
Go here, take, Linda. This is the list that everybody and the others have, or got.
Curb opening permit. Make it just for the permit, just like $50, yeah.
The sewer tap-in fee, is that a reasonable number for $800?
I've seen more expensive ones from other municipalities, if that's
Okay.
what you're asking.
Yeah, that's kinda what I'm asking. Yes,
Right, and if you have to put in a new lateral, too.
to your lateral fills. Is there any others on there that you'd like to talk about, Tony?
I'm thinking.
So I think the curb opening permit is the street and sidewalk opening.
I believe so.
Yeah, you wanna leave the curb opening, street openings alone, and make another line for sidewalk.
Sidewalks, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What?
Street and sidewalk openings, $400 per 30 feet.
Yeah, you wanna leave it street openings, create another line that says sidewalk openings, and whatever council wants to set for the fees.
Why do we have a non-metered parking violation when we have no meters?
It's just an old,
Get rid of it then. Get rid of it.
We actually do still have some,
Not meters.
not metered, well, yeah,
Why-
and I don't think there's any meters left.
Right, so why do we have a non-meter parking violations?
It's from the old ordinance.
So let's get rid of it because we don't have any parking meters.
Joe, then you have to make change on, all right,
yeah, it's just the fee resolution.
okay,
Well, we have to do a bunch of these anyway, so.
okay.
Non-meter parking violations. So parking violations where there's no meters.
It'd be the whole Schoonamaker.
I think
Oh,
it
no.
might be, you do have permit parking spaces,
That
correct?
doesn't say permit parking.
But it's,
But that's non-metered.
yeah, that's non-metered, so that could be, if I have a permit, you don't have a permit, you're parking in that lot. That's the fine.
Chief, has that ever happened? Because you would reinforce that. This is old.
These is old,
are
old stuff.
That's why we're going over.
That's why we're looking and going over.
So Chief, on, do we still have any permit parking in the city?
There is still permit parking.
And do you have much abuse of that permit parking?
Not much abuse. Usually maybe if a new school, a new class comes into Douglas, there's maybe some issues here and there, but hardly ever do we hear about it.
You have resources to check that from time to time?
The only way that really we check on it is when someone's, if you have a permanent spot, if someone's in your spot, you call us, we go there, we tag it.
Okay. And that would be the violation of $30 immediately if they pay it within 10 days, increased by $10 in days 11 through 30, and $20 each day after 31. It gets pretty expensive if they don't pay it. But that's when that would come into effect, is
When that will come into effect, and after if they don't pay it after a certain, I believe it's 30 days, it then could be transferred to a citation filed to the magistrate's office.
okay. So we want to keep that one alone. Is that correct?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Anything else we want to talk about on the fees before we put that one to bed? That's what we just did.
Yeah.
Okay.
This next one here is really one that we really need to, we can talk about it, but I think that we really need input from Marvin, unless you have all his.
I do have input from Marvin.
What we're talking about is potential changes for a zoning ordinance. Right now, there's a lot of restriction in the zoning ordinance. As an example, if I wanted to set up a garage across town, I'd build a nice building, build it to code and everything else. It's not legal.
Mayor,
Please,
make it simple.
okay?
Table it.
We can table it, but we're not making motions now. We're discussing things. Go ahead and present what you think Marvin's got.
I'm just saying, let's, there's more involved and I don't
This
think
is a very important thing to a lot of different things. Well,
With the $600 annual fee that they gotta make for your machine when they're full.
Let me say this, and Marvin did receive a couple of questions about people wanting to build a garage in residential neighborhoods. Typically, garage or accessory structures, meaning they're next to your primary structure, your house. Now, there is ways that you can define this to be called something like a private storage garage, right? You could end up running into issues that you have a single-family neighborhood. You could have a house, a garage, and a house. I don't know if the neighborhood, from a planning standpoint, wants to look that way, right? That's something council's going to have to decide. What neighborhoods would you permit these garages to be built? How large you want these garages to be built? For instance, accessory structures in residential neighborhoods can only be 1 story or 15 feet high, right? Certainly, if you do want to have standalone garages, you don't want them to be 2 stories in a single-family residential area. From a planning standpoint, especially in residential zones, this is very rare to have garages, even though you can define them as being private storage garages to store cars and whatever other belongings people want to put in there. That's my only caution with this.
So we've had a couple requests, just to give some examples of what types of things they're looking at. One person lives, I'm trying to remember the name of the road, it's overlooking Parente. Is that Overlook? It's up there? No. Anyway, they have a piece of property on the first road over Parente. There is a vacant lot on Parente that they would like to have, but it's not directly adjacent to their property, it's offset by one piece of property. But our current ordinance does not allow them to do that. They wanted to build a garage down there and do that. Had it been over one piece of one plot, it would work. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's those kinds of examples that fail everything. It's not likely that we're gonna have a run-on property on Parente, although that would be a wonderful thing to have. It gets it back on the tax roll and it gets it used in something for a person. That's just one example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, even if there was a vacant lot next door to a house, they're not on the same property. You could even create an exception for that, where they don't have to go through a variance, don't have to go through a planning commission meeting to do a subdivision and a lot consolidation. That's a little bit different than, Mayor, if you want to build a garage somewhere on Graham Avenue and you live in the park plan.
Let me ask you a question. Is it possible to deed property on a single, distinct property on a single deed? Could you take a piece of property over here and put it on the same deed?
Even if you put that on one deed because it's two separate parcels, you can then split it in a subsequent deed and sell both properties to two different people.
But that would require splitting.
No, it's not a subdivision. You can put as many parcels as you want on a
It
deed.
doesn't accomplish anything.
15 years down the road, you can sell off 3 parcels to
Okay.
this person and another 4 parcels to another person.
Just a thought.
Mm.
Right.
I just think you have to be careful what people are building next to people's homes.
Right.
Because there are certain times you don't want properties built next to your home and it's an eyesore or whatever, or just a big old garage next to your house. You know, so.
We have
that's-
a-
I understand.
we-
I'm just, you gotta be careful when they don't live in their neighborhood, it's not next to their home, and yet they wanna place it on another street where they don't even live.
That's true.
So you're not gonna be sure whether they're gonna take care of that property, take care of that structure they put up. Meanwhile, these people have to live next door.
Right.
So you gotta be careful when you start allowing that to happen.
Right. We do have zoning ordinances that require them to build certain types of structures in certain neighborhoods. And that would have to be followed in too. But I agree with you that that's something we'd have to work through.
More discussion than those people had on Motherwell.
Well, it's clear that we don't have enough information yet to propose any changes to the ordinance yet, or enough cohesion in the.
Yeah, what Councilwoman Thomas said is the concern. People
Right.
not living in a neighborhood building a storage
Right, and I don't
unit,
disagree with that, but,
essentially that, they fill it up and not take care of it. If it's next to somebody's house, they're gonna maintain the lawn and everything else because they live there.
could there be any sort of review process that takes place when this takes place to ensure that neighbors are notified and agreement and so forth?
We could use the conditional use process, special exception that would require them to go before the zoning hearing board. In the case of a special exception or conditional use, that would be in front of council. But they can come here and make promises until they're out of breath
Is
to
there any
say,
way
hey,
to involve the people that live in that neighborhood?
potentially, but I don't know what significant impact, because they can put together a good application and still say, yeah, we'll maintain it, we'll cut the grass around the garage. There still could be issues.
Right. Well, we may not go anywhere. All right. Anybody else have anything else they want to say about that?
No, Mayor.
Discussion on delinquent garbage bills. I wasn't sure what was gonna be put on here, but we offered an amnesty program. it was very coldly accepted by the people. People didn't take the opportunity to fix their garbage bills the way they could have. We still have a huge unpaid garbage bill. People, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
$337,000.
Exactly.
$337,000.
No.
$337,000.
The point being is the solicitor and I have a call with the Portnoy tomorrow, and we'd kind of like to talk about the possibility of taking some of these people that have extreme garbage bills and allowing them to go to sheriff's sales and so forth.
Well, my question to the solicitor is, can we legally, I know school taxes do this, can we legally take an ad in the paper and publish names with amounts that's owed?
So for the taxes, the answer is a definite yes, because the local tax collection law says you can do that.
Okay.
In fact, you have to do that. Nothing in the third-class city code says that you're permitted to do it in the case of delinquent garbage. It's an issue that I'm looking into, but Portnoy did put together a list of the status of some of the claims that they filed on behalf of the city. I want to see what their hesitation is. The court action, if they're being aggressive with it, is the more effective approach from what I've seen elsewhere.
I agree with that, but I would question Portnoy now when you look at that list, and that list is 10, 15 pages long.
That's part of the conversation that is an absolute question that I'm going to ask them.
Should we even
What is the
continue
holdup?
working with Portnoy?
That could be
That could be a question
part of the
too.
council's consideration based on what answers there.
To me, there's no motivation for Portnoy to collect.
Oh, they get extra money.
There's-
They get extra money if they collect,
Yeah.
but if they don't collect anything, it just sits there.
Looking at the spreadsheet that they sent over, it has notes, and I need to understand what those notes mean. It says for a certain property, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but it says sale pending or something pending sale, right? So I want to understand what that means. Did they try to sheriff sell some of these properties and nobody purchased them, right? That could mean that these properties are vacant. The owners have walked away from these properties. I don't know that information yet.
Also, part of the discussion I think would be very informative for council is I would come back and challenge Portnoy or ask you to on the behalf of the city to challenge Portnoy and say, look, there's some big hitters on that list. How are you going after people? Are you going alphabetically, or are you going by the numbers? How are you going by people?
We got that.
I mean, we shouldn't be having to ask those questions. They should be driving those answers and saying, this is the group we're aggressively going after and this and that. Because last meeting, the one lady that came up here made it right when she says, look, why should I be paying for people that don't pay their garbage? Why should I be doing that?
That is exactly what needs to change. I want to see what Portnoy is doing to help change that, because that's their job, right? There's other delinquent collectors out there that would love to have the city's business in response to an RFP.
Well, the other question I'll bring out, if I remember correctly, going back, Lois, you were here with me. We had Portnoy a long time ago, back in 2018, 19 or 20. Then we decided to get rid of Portnoy. We got rid of Portnoy, and then the last administration got Portnoy back. Maybe it's time to look elsewhere.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I think that if we don't get good response tomorrow, we ought to consider it.
You have somebody do it here. You would have more control of what you can and cannot do if somebody did it from here.
I mean, it would pay for itself, that's for sure, if you collected enough money. But the problem is you wouldn't be able to have any enforceability. And I think the chief would be arguing and saying, I can't have my officers running door to door saying you need to pay money up because you're back in taxes on, not taxes, but you're back on your garbage bill
I mean, there's no accountability or forceability.
There is a clear legal process, statutory, Municipal Claims Tax Liens Act that allows this collection. When there is, can I like get?
Don't interrupt, don't interrupt.
So, what I've seen in other municipalities where there is aggressive collection, the delinquencies do start to stop, right? I think part of the problem with all of these properties, there's a lot of properties that the owners have walked away from.
You need to sort those out.
Some of these properties on that list, they probably owe taxes for decades, and nobody has attempted to purchase them off of a sale. Like, that could be a large part of the problem. But they are liens, so if somebody were to buy a vacant property with these garbage liens on them, the city would receive some of their money back, right? That could be part of the problem. But there is a process that is effective if it's being used aggressively.
Put the pedal to the metal.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens tomorrow and we'll act accordingly. The next two, discussion on the applications for the Refuge Authority and the Sewage Authority. I'd kind of like to merge that with some of the other things that we've got going on. One of the questions that we have is, we have some boards and authorities that have, over the course of time, become inactive. As an example, our Blythe Review Board really doesn't have anybody on it that's active anymore. We can try to fill that board, but what do they really accomplish for us? Whereas we have the Shade Tree Commission, which does a lot of the same type of work as that. Maybe we merge those two into one category.
I'm okay with that.
The shade tree?
Has got nothing to do
Well,
with.
you wanna go through these? Mayor?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah, absolutely.
The Blighted Property Review Board needs 2 members. The question was, do you wanna keep that because it's been a somewhat inactive board? But it's an important part of the city, what we're doing with the demolition of properties, and I think it holds some note there, but it's a question that I think council would look at and say what they wanna do with that one.
So,
We have a list of all the boards that we have.
Let's see.
I'm gonna read them to you, John, as we go here.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure, thank you.
And then Joe had some comments, as we talked on each of them, so. So that was one question on the Blighted Property Review Board. The second one that we had discussed,
Isn't
Joe.
the county like handling that right now because of all the properties are being demolished right now?
well, at least in the 2 qualified census zones, but that doesn't mean that we're addressing things on the top side of Summit as an example, or external from that. And there are properties that need to be addressed.
I think if we advertised and pushed it, we could fill it and get an active board again. And I think it's about.
What do they expect it to do for us? Provide lists of properties? Are we getting
Blighted
that from
property?
Marvin already?
All these
Well, we
boards
are,
that we have
yeah.
empty, with Civic and all that. Let's
They're
give an incentive.
to show properties deemed to be vacant or abandoned by the urban redevelopment law. Promote
Give 'em
reuse
some.
and reinvestment in properties. Further advise the redevelopment authority, city council, and other appropriate agencies on the establishment and modification of policies, procedures, and rules for the rehabilitation of properties in Monessen. Is that something that our code folks do now?
Big parts of it.
I think the
The
purpose of
county
this.
too, Lois, as you said,
I
does
think the
have some input.
purpose of this board initially was to identify
Mhm.
the blighted property.
Okay.
And the city did create a registry of the blighted property, which turned over to the county, put into their system.
Right, and you and Marvin have been working through that
Sounds
list
like
of
you're the 2
properties.
members of the board.
Well, should we just go through them, I guess, and then we can continue to
Well-
discuss? Do you wanna keep on this one?
Well, I think that my suggestion would be that the Blighted Property Review Board be disbanded myself.
Which one?
Is that something that we can do legally, or is that just a no-no?
I'll have to take a look at the ordinance. I'm guessing
Still
this,
that tissue.
the city has its authority under the urban redevelopment law to create this, so there might be a process that you have to go through.
Okay.
Okay. The second board that we were talking about, and also talked to the solicitor, was the Board of Appeals, which makes sure that, and reports to council that the city is in conformity with the requirements of the relevant provisions of the code as amended from time to time, the Uniform Construction Code and the International Property Maintenance Code. That board has no members and has not met, but Joe felt it was an important board to have
Yeah.
vis-a-vis the city, so maybe you can.
Yeah, that's from the Uniform Construction Code, International Property Maintenance Code. It's absolutely a board that is necessary.
The problem is that not just anybody can sit on it. It requires people skilled in,
Right.
in certain have certain skill set.
An
And be,
architect.
as can be a certified architect. be a-
Electrician, builder, engineer,
Yep.
another
Yep.
architect, and citizen rep.
Yep.
So it requires very specific people. We need to reach out to those agencies and see if they'd be willing to sit on it.
I know in Allegheny County, sometimes there's a joint board of appeals that some municipalities, through a cooperation agreement, form because of that very reason. I don't know if there's something similar in Westmoreland County.
There's a push to do those kinds of things,
Yeah.
but I don't know who else has that in Westmoreland County.
Every community that has the Uniform Construction Code has some board somewhere.
Reach out to Jeanette and those people and see if they
that
have such a thing and maybe share
Rarely
theirs.
gets used, but when you do need it, it's a very important process. And if there's ever a decision from your building code official that they disagree with,
You know if Frost Razor has anything?
I believe they do.
So maybe we could work in agreement with them.
Possibly. But like, I don't know how active their board is either, though.
But that's the advantage. We've not needed one in many years.
Mm-hmm.
It's not likely we're gonna need one in many more years, but on the off chance we do need one, we need somebody, place we can go to use one.
Yeah. I wanna take a look at the requirements for the board too, at the state law, to see if, cause if you look at the Shade Tree Commission requirements, I think you were required, or you need to try to put a botanist in there, if I'm not mistaken, right? But it says, if you can't find somebody for that position, you can go elsewhere.
Mhm.
Maybe that's something similar we can look at for your Board of Appeals.
But it's your opinion, we should not just ignore that, and
Yes, that is the exact opinion.
it's not been filled in a long time, we just need to work towards a solution. Okay. Turns out we've got a Reimagine Westmoreland County meeting coming up. We can see if anybody's interested in working with us, okay?
The Environmental Advisory Board was a board to advise Monessen on matters dealing with conservation, protection of resources, including air,
Environmental.
tree, land, and water resources.
Advisory.
Many of the things that the Shade Tree Commission does as an entity, but they're not
That was a mistake I made.
really under statute, I guess, Joe, to do,
Mhm.
or under the ordinance. The Environmental Advisory Board currently has no members and has not met in a period of time. Is it something that council would like to take a look at to say maybe we just end it and allow the Shade Tree to do more, or how would we do that? Solicitor would,
How are they similar, I guess?
well, I think everything that we do on the Shade Tree Commission, and Karen, you can jump in here, is dealing with environmental issues.
But I think
And
environmental is more, like with water
Yes.
issues and
Yes.
things like that. And there are resources maybe we could avail ourselves of to help us, since nobody's ever done this before in recent memory. But
Right,
I think the environment's important.
yes.
And there's
We
another
have a
option here.
river.
There's no members on the board.
No.
Council can decide not to place members on this board. That board just will remain dormant until
Somebody decides they need one.
you need it.
Should we advertise for it, Joe,
That's-
in this recent advertising we're gonna do?
That's
coming
up
up?
to what council
What
wants to
council
do.
would like?
Yep.
I think that's a decision the council has to sort of outline.
I would like to see maybe if it's okay to merge those two together, if
It-
we can. I mean,
You
The-
can't merge the two together because the Shade Tree Commission's authorized by the third-class city code to take care of shade trees in the city. It's almost like a planning commission that you have certain rights and obligations to do.
I just feel like I don't see anyone really in our community signing up. I hate to say that. I
Well,
mean,
let's just leave it alone then and not worry about
could-
wasting the
I would
money
say
on
just-
advertising until we decide we need one.
I would say if we're gonna advertise, we lump that in to the advertisement.
Or
Just
something
to
else. Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay. And in that regard, the Shade Tree Commission needs 2 members and has made a request to maybe increase their membership just for some help with the work that they do on a day-to-day. But we need to advertise at least for 2 coming up.
Okay.
So
Sounds-
that's,
yeah.
okay. The Zoning and Hearing Board needs 2 members and an alternate. The recommendation was made from Marvin and his shop to advertise and try to place those. And if the solicitor and counsel are,
That's another one you
would need.
you really need,
We
right?
need
Okay. The Mon Valley Refuse Authority needs 1 member. We have 1 applicant, John Mandarino, but that can still be advertised tomorrow and we can see if we get it.
Two applicants.
We had 1 for the sewage and 1 for the,
Oh, refuse. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought,
Yep.
okay.
and the Mon Valley Sewage has 1 member, it's Dennis Wintz, but that can still be someone, you know, that puts their name in and also advertised if that's the pleasure.
Okay.
The Police Accountability and Internal Affairs Board, I talked to the chief about this, he feels this is a board that we should continue. We need 2 members for that, and Chief, you were gonna help maybe vet some folks and get back on some ideas with that, and we can also advertise, if that makes sense.
Advertising is starting to kill me because this gets expensive. You know, and we
Could
don't
they
get
put that
any-
in one lump?
But you still, it's still space.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
You guys have a Facebook page?
Nobody responds to these things.
The Civil Service Board is also functioning, and it has its current membership in place.
Yeah, we have, one's term is expiring at the end of this year.
Yeah,
I haven't talked to him, but I don't know if he's gonna continue or what.
okay. That could be another, if you would like an advertiser, or wait till you talk to him to see, then we would, but we, you know, we
That's another
still
important
could
board.
advertise.
Need that one too.
Yep.
Yes. The public library needs 3 folks, and so we need to advertise, I would believe, for those.
We got 2 people that indicated they wanted to be
Yeah.
reinstated, but they never filled out the paperwork for it, so I don't know what that means either.
So if we can maybe double check, Karen, could we work with you on that too to check?
I know they're interested.
Okay. Okay, maybe we can talk tomorrow to see about that, and also,
Yeah,
would
Brett-
you think an advertisement is necessary there, or should we? I'm
They need
open.
3, but remember the 1 has been there simply because he was filling,
Oh, Mr. What was it?
no,
No?
Angelo.
Oh, Angelo, yes,
He took
okay.
Ernie's place when Ernie resigned, so he just stayed on, so actually, you know, when you think about it, to see, that's 4 instead of 3. But I don't know what you do about somebody that fills,
Okay, well.
I would
let's-
say
I
let's
mean-
let's advertise and see if we can get some more people interested.
yeah.
Cool, okay. And our rec board has no members. Everyone has resigned, and it's an open board. There are 7 positions, 5-year term positions.
I would say probably put that board on hold until we get someone to manage.
Close it,
To,
put that
someone
person-
manages the civic center.
Okay.
It was never a
Yeah.
productive board.
I would say put that one on hold.
Okay. Those are every board that we currently have.
Just out of, you can't ask any questions, no. I'm sorry. No.
You were on the zoning
No.
board, I thought Ms. Turner and me was on there, we just didn't have an alternate.
Your term expires at the end of the year.
You need to
You're
reapply
currently
for one.
on, yes. Okay, you served out that term at the end of the year. Her term has expired, and there's another open seat.
So, Dennis Winch is here among us this evening. Does anybody, you know him?
He introduced himself to me and told me a little bit about his.
Could you perhaps give us a real quick synopsis of your background?
Yeah, yes,
I know that you,
Thank you for coming down. Appreciate it, Dennis.
well, thank you. First of all, thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing me to come here. My name is Dennis Wintz, 171 Pacific Boulevard, Monessen. 3-year resident at that location. Grew up and went to school here at St. Leonard's and went on to finish my education at Belmar. My parents moved to Bell Vernon. I'm a business owner for 28 years, retired 17, 18 years ago now, which seems like a long time ago at this point. However, I was understanding that there would be an opening coming up this year for the Mon Valley Sewage Authority, and I would like to, I submitted the necessary letter of intent and the necessary paperwork requested by council. There's not enough room on there for me to give you an entire resume without a long written resume, but I'll just give you a real quick synopsis why I think that I am eligible for that position. I served on Bell Vernon Water and Sewer Authority from 1995 to 2010 because I owned a business and I owned property in the borough of Bell Vernon at that time. From 2010 to 2016, I served on the Mon Valley Sewage Authority. During that 2-year period, I actually served on 2 authorities simultaneously. I resigned from the Mon Valley Sewage Authority in 2016 due to the fact that my wife and I had purchased some property in Florida, and we were going to be snowbirds. So naturally, if you can't attend meetings and go to meetings on a regular basis, you need to resign this position. You know what I mean? So I did that and spent 9 years going back and forth to Florida. And due to various reasons, my wife and I sold our property about 4 years ago. I've served on Valley First Supervisory Board for a number of years there. And when I came back to and became no more longer a snowbird, I got back on that board for a period of time. But my heart was really with the authority movement. I served as when I was in the authority movement with Bell Vernon and Mon Valley, I served as regional director for Region 9 as an assistant for 3 years, and I served also for 3 more years as a director of Region 9 for the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Association. After a couple more years, I was actually nominated to move into the presidency of the the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Association, and I served there as president of that association from 2007 and 2008. During that period of time, I had the opportunity to travel all 10 regions in Pennsylvania, had opportunities to meet with state legislators in Harrisburg, and talk about things such as environmental issues and rules and regulations that affect authorities, whether they be water or sewage. And I had quite a interesting time to learn a lot more about the authority movement and how it functions. I am totally familiar with the ongoing projects that Mon Valley Sewage Authority is currently doing. I was there in the very beginning of this phase that's been going on now for about the last 10 years or so. During those periods of time of instituting a lot of this new project, everything out there, I was always kept abreast of everything. I had done PowerPoint presentations to Mayor Mary Jo's term and allowed them to understand in layman's terms what CSOs and SSOs actually are and how they work. And I actually, with Mayor Sherrod, I took him on a personal tour of the sewage treatment facility and the new satellite treatment facility that was being built at that time. So I've always tried to work attentively with council to allow them to understand in layman's terms what we do, how we do it, why we do it, and so forth. If you remember, Council Lady Thomas, that whenever Mrs. Farmer came on board, I invited both of them to my home, sat them down in my dining room, to try and explain to her, because she was literally taking a position that I had, and try to bring her up to speed with what was going on in layman's terms so she could better serve as an authority member. So all that I'm asking for you is an open consideration to allow me to serve back on that board. I have no ulterior motives for it. I just want to be able to serve again in those capacities, and I would love to be able to do that, and I would appreciate the support from council. That's all I
Let me
have.
ask you just a real quick question.
Yes, Mr.
And
Mayor.
this may not be appropriate. The lawyer can kick me if he says so. But you have your expertise is well described, and I think you'd be an asset to the authority. There's no doubt about that. But could we call upon you to report back to council what happens in the authority, so we know so we know what's going on?
You know, Mr. Mayor, I've always wondered, even when I served on the Mon Valley Sewage Authority, we have 2 seats in that chamber for representatives from both Denora and Monessen. Denora had a very active member there for many, many, many years that sat in those meetings, and he was able then to take back to council or present basically something that he needed to bring to the Mon Valley Sewage Board for discussion, and then take those answers back to their council meetings. And for some reason, I don't see representatives from, especially the city of Monessen, for many, many years. I think the last time was, I think John Harhigh and Ted both sat in those seats there for a period of time when I was still there. And then that kind of like became, kind of like faded away. But I do believe that, yes, current updates on new matters and things like that there should be brought to council. And I think it's a responsibility, I think, more of the chair of the board at that time to bring presentations periodically as necessary to bring everybody up to speed. I think a liaison would be actually a wise thing to have there. Somebody that's, you know, I mean, kind of like familiar with what's going on in your town,
Right.
and things of that nature. But I really think that you should have representatives sitting there. That seat sits there, and it should not be empty.
It's 3, isn't it?
It is.
Monessen is 3, Denora is 2. Monessen
When
has
well, you're talking about the seats, not
the board
the board itself is made up of 3 from Monessen and
Right.
2 from Denora.
Yes.
Okay, and we serve naturally because we treat leachate and sewage from both boroughs, the city of Monessen and actually Denora. But what I'm talking about are the liaison seats that sit in that chamber, empty.
That's something we should probably have for all boards that we haven't done in quite a while, where we used to, past practice, have liaisons for different boards and commissions.
Right, and there's someone that can basically give you an instantaneous report back on what's going on, what's changing. There's going to be a rate change. It's going to be doing this or whatever. You know what I mean? To keep council informed.
That used to be a council member.
And like I say, I would not want to, this point, say that I would be able to come here to council to do that. I would only do that upon approval of the chairman, or as a sitting chairman, and maybe at some point to do that, because I think that I'd be stepping on someone's toes to do that. And again, you know, I mean, whether or not it'd be a company, an engineer here to answer those questions. But I do think that the better relationship that you can have between the board and the council keeps the city more aware of what's going on, why is it happening, and so forth. I got there. And again, the cost involved and so forth. I got there. I always had an opinion. The longer you put off a project, every year you got to add another 10% to it.
Yep.
It's just inevitable because of cost of materials, labor, and so forth. I got there. So I'm free to answer any question for you. I'm an open book kind of guy.
All right, well, thank you.
No, I thank you for coming, and I've worked with you and Tom in the past, and hopefully look forward to working with you again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
I do agree that they should report back to council then. Somebody, I do agree with you, Dennis, that somebody needs to report to council and update council. The perfect example, in my opinion, is the forever, ever EQ tank that still isn't built, and it's costing us tens of thousands of dollars every year.
That was talked about during the Mary Jo administration.
And, you know, it's still not broke ground yet. And,
Because it's
you know,
supposed to be on parade.
yes, you know,
Various locations on Franklin.
but see, that's where, to be honest with you, my opinion is, the 3 board members that are appointed from Monessen need to put the authority on notice and go, what are you doing? we answer to this council, and council wants to know and has questions, because it's gonna cost the taxpayers a hell of a lot more money than it should have been, and nothing's still being done.
May I answer that, sir?
Sure.
I gotta tell you, whenever this first came about, the discussion when Brennan Boulevard was being redone, there was talks about putting maybe instead of a tank up in the air, putting
Put it
these large
underground.
holes in the ground. It would be filled with excess water runoff and then transmitted in for treatment after, during dry weather. But I do know that was discussed all the way back during the Mayor Mary Jo, during her administration. This was all brought to light at that time. And then there was always this discussion, who was gonna run the project? Was the city gonna run the project? Was the authority gonna run the project?
Who's
Where
gonna
was it
pay the
going to be?
engineer? Yeah.
What land? Was it gonna be down by the city garage? Was it gonna be down below? Was it gonna be up higher on Fernie Board? It was just, nobody, for some reason, ever came to a final decision. And I think it's finally, only been a recent year or two or three or whatever, that it's finally come to where it's gonna be. But then, I mean, again, engineers get involved, this engineer wants to run the project, this one wants to run that, who wants to pay the debt service? I know it's been a real mess. I don't know any of the real specifics about it because I've been away from here for quite a few years, but I do know that it's something of contention. It really, again, it goes on to the ratepayers because the cost has gone from this
I think
much to
the-
this much. It's a huge difference.
I think the point being is that he's basically telling us that we need to have a liaison to that from council to be there.
Well,
And it was my idea that maybe our board members could report back to us.
See, well, that's the thing, now, that's why I was asking him if he's would be open to that, and that is that being on the board, being one of three and has the controlling interests, I'm sorry, that's the way it is, okay? I wouldn't want you to feel that you're overriding the chairman's not happy with this. I really don't give a damn. You report to council, and council is looking for the best interests of its taxpayers and its public. I don't, I'm not worried about what somebody else is thinking. We only have one responsibility, and that's to the taxpayers.
Yeah, that's probably where the conflict is, that on the authority, they are an authority, and they are responsible to the authority and not to
Not to us.
us. And that's the reason why we need to have a liaison from us, our side.
And Mr. Mayor and Council, that is a difficulty. It really is, because we are a separate entity. And we're supposed to run as a separate entity. But as far as reporting back and doing like that there, I think that, if it hasn't, I don't know how long it's been before you physically had somebody here from the sewer authority. And that it's actually had been here with an engineer and council or something of that nature to answer those questions, I think that, I think communication is utmost necessity. Especially when you're dealing with huge amounts of money being spent and all these different things going on in the city. You've got all your projects going on, but I really think that anything that I can do to help promote a better cooperation between the authority, I will make every effort. If we're on that committee, on that board, I would do everything in my power to try and create a better relationship between Mon Valley Sewage Authority and this council,
Okay.
along with the board.
Well, we got a long way from where we were trying to go, but I think that council does need to figure out who can be the liaison to that and report back to us. Okay, let's move on. This is gonna go a long time. Is that where we're at?
Broadband,
Broadband.
or no, wait,
No.
Aye.
Aye.
yeah, page
Three.
Three.
Page 3.
oh, sorry.
Okay. Discussion on permitting fees to be paid when due. Oh, this is what I'm thinking. Most municipalities, most cities have contracted services, electric bills, gas bills, whatever. When those bills come in, they have a person in accounts payable catalog those, enter them into the system, and say, this bill is due on such and such a day. allowing for mail to go a couple days beforehand if it's a local bill, that person would have the ability to notify the Director of Accounts and Finance that this bill is gonna be paid and pay the bill. And then at the following meeting, that would be ratified, just like payroll is, and be treated just like a payroll expense is. We have to make payroll on certain days, we make the payroll on certain days. We have a due date for our electric bill, our gas bill, our utilities that are on certain days. And for various reasons, there's times throughout the year that has caused us issues. How does everybody feel about that?
I'm not in favor of it,
Okay, but why?
and the reason I'm not in favor of it is we need to push our utilities to do like everybody else gets charged, like net 30 days.
Well,
Comcast is not like that. We only got part of West Penn Power like that, from what I understand. Look, there's nowhere in the world I have ever seen that I have ever gotten a bill personally, got it in the mail, and it's due in 2 days. Everybody has net 30.
Right, I don't disagree with that.
We're not a business, but we're a government entity.
Right.
We should be given that with not even an issue. But it seems like we have to fight for that with what we're dealing with on some of the utilities. And I personally have had it with them.
Well, if we do it twice a month like we've been doing in the past, there's 2 or 3 times per year that we have a 3-week interval between sessions. So if you're a utility company and you drop something in the mail a month before it's due, you give them 30 days notice, and it takes 3 or 4 days to get into the system. If that happens to fall on past the due date when you require the bills to go into the thing, it will miss that entire cycle, and we go a full another cycle before it comes.
But there lies the problem that we're not addressing. We are relying, not that it's not bad, but we're relying on the U.S. Postal Service to have that delay from when we ship it to when it gets to its destination, when they open it, when they have people to do that. Why don't we have electronic transfers for things like that? We all pay electronic transfers at home. There's no reason why this city should not be doing that. None.
And that's what I'm saying. If we
No, you want to do a blank, you just want to have it it automatically gets paid. No, I'm not in favor of that.
well, it gets paid, but it still has to go through a council approval, just like payroll does.
But I don't want to put I don't ever want to put the cart in front of the horse on things like that. Again, there's nothing, even in the 3-week period that only happens twice a year, there's nothing that council can't approve when it's the 3rd week to pay it the next day. It got approved, an electronic transfer, and it went. But it goes mail, it goes snail mail, and then it goes back, and who knows if it sits in a cupboard somewhere at First Energy or whatever, or whoever it might be, and they don't open it till 3 or 4 days, and then they didn't post it for another day or 2, and then it's a week, they've had it.
So what is the risk in this?
Karen has a question.
What about auto pay? Are you not allowed to do that?
No, everything has to be approved.
Not auto pay.
But still, council approves it when it does it. The next day, our utilities are paid electronically over the wire. That's it. We're done.
Okay,
It's less work for our people.
there are times when we're gonna reach the end of the 30 days on those 3-week periods when we gotta get the bill in. It's just, we end up running a day or 2 late.
I don't know how we're gonna miss it if there's a delay, at the longest was 3 weeks versus 30 days net due.
So
I'm still having 7 days on my fingers here counting.
So here we're on day 1, it happens to be a Monday, and they put it in the mail with a 30-day notice. It arrives to us a week later because it's being sent out of someplace out west for whatever reason it may be, the mail service. It missed the opportunity to go into that that council meeting. So it's
Then-
three more weeks before it gets another chance.
Then, in that opinion, which I understand.
And that has happened, by the way.
Yes. But my simple thing is, shame on us for not picking up the phone and saying, hey, we just got this bill. Council doesn't meet till next week. We see that this thing's due tomorrow. You know, again, communication means everything. If we don't pick up the phone, we can't make a call, or we can't make a good reason why, look, this can get paid, but
We have.
We have, and I think that she's been doing an excellent job of talking to people, getting 30 days when we didn't have 30 days before. But there are still timing issues that it can work out where we're late, or up to the point where we're just barely making it.
But we don't change the process just for two things. We adapt the process for those two things, not change it totally. So
I'm
that's
just-
why I'm not for that.
Okay. The only thing I was thinking was it would allow us to change our meeting dates. But if we're not gonna do that, it makes no sense in talking about making any changes in our meeting dates. In other words, what I was thinking is that we'd have a work session much closer to the time that we had our council meeting. So on this Thursday, as an example, if we had a work session, next Thursday, we'd have our council meeting. The problem that we have when we have 2 weeks between sessions, too many things happen in the city, and we don't get a chance to discuss them all in the meeting because we allow too much time. It's just my thought, and I'm not saying this, I'm fixed on it, it's just what I was trying to accomplish.
Are you talking about the days of work sessions now, or are you talking about the other thing?
I'm talking about, well, both of them come to play. Both of them happen. If you don't do that, you're guaranteed to have lots of bills that are running late if we don't have a bill paying in the middle of the month.
The problem with that is when most bills for even all of us come at the end of the month. That's just a general rule.
But that's not the way it's working here for,
Well, then we need to
we have
change that.
staggered billing for everything from electric bills to whatever,
Then we need to change that.
if we can.
We can do it when, you can personally do it. I don't see no reason why the city can't do it. I really don't. And as far as the work sessions, and this is just my personal opinion, the council meetings, like you're saying, like 1 week after another and then
Mhm.
whatever. I'm sorry, I know this is gonna sound wrong, but I don't wanna be here 2 weeks in a row.
Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine too. That's why we talk about these things, so we can move on past that. Unless this council has different opinions of it. So the format of the days of work sessions and council meetings will remain the same next year. We'll advertise our work sessions as voting sessions only because we gotta pay bills. But
It's just this one.
it'll be the second and fourth Thursday of each month unless somebody has disagreement. So that's what we'll make a motion for during the next session. I don't know why this needs to be on this, but one of the things that we wanna do is we wanna move some $15,952.83 from the healthcare fund to the general fund. And what's been happening is, she's been saying, we need to move money to the health fund. We've been putting in the payroll, in the fund that does that, and then they've been taking ACH out of our general fund. So, we've been putting the money over there, and they've been getting it out of the different account. So
Who?
This is our healthcare,
But who's doing the ACH?
our healthcare companies,
Oh, so, okay. This is
It-
to pay your premiums and
This is
things
to-
like that?
Yes. It's the healthcare that she calls up every week and says, oh, our healthcare is getting low. That's because she's looking at the wrong numbers.
But-
It's a mistake that,
But this doesn't make sense. It says discussion of moving a 15.9 from the healthcare fund to the general fund.
Right.
Then the last sentence, it says move the 15.952 from the general fund to the healthcare fund. We just reversed ourselves.
no, forget that. We would have had to move.
We would have.
This is totally confusing.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's totally confusing. I think you can drop that last sentence. We'll clarify that for the motion that goes into the agenda for next time. because that just makes no sense. I agree.
We went one way and then we reversed ourselves.
Yeah, we don't need to reverse ourselves. Okay, we went out for bid on IT support. We had quite a number of companies come back to us. They all provided some proposals. There was really only one company that comes close to offering the same price as what we're getting from PA Connect. And that is a company called Spera, S-P-E-R-A. Now, the only difference between that and PA Connect is that in the support they give unlimited support calls, whereas PA Connect charges us for every support call that we do. If we were to change, I would say that we've got to run in parallel 90 days. That first off gives us 90 days to terminate the PA Connect contract, but it also makes sure that we've got a company that has all the usernames, passwords, good understanding of what the network is before they are removed from any responsibility of maintaining it.
The only comment I have about this, and I did look them over, as you did, is I still would have liked, and I mentioned a couple meetings ago, I would still have liked them, being that we put an RFP out, that they came here and they made their proposal in front of council. One,
We could, but the majority of that,
we do it for everybody else.
well, but there's a big difference. The big difference is the majority of the contract is related to network security. And we don't need our network security discussed in public. It just opens up too many opportunities for everything.
We don't have to discuss that.
You don't even want to so much as talk about the brands of the routers that you use,
That's not
anything.
That's not the reason for my questioning. I wanted them all here to do their little dog and pony show because my specific questions were, what I hear from all of you on a daily or weekly basis is, City Hall's down. I left a call to PA Connect. It's 2 hours. They haven't gotten back to me yet. I don't know what the status of my call is. That's what I care about.
Right.
I cared about day-to-day operations, and apparently that's a problem, or this wouldn't be sitting here on our agenda to be talked about.
The only thing I would really like to add to that is there's probably only two people here that really even understand a lot of the IT support requirements that we have, and that's you and I. And the point being is that, well, you understand you need the support, but realistically, you're well skilled in this. Why don't you call these companies and talk to them directly? I've already done that.
I can, if you want me to, but I need to know if, the point of the matter is though, if PA Connect's contract with us states that when you call PA Connect, their response time by contract is 4 hours.
But that's not what their contract says.
I don't know what it says. I don't know what their call volume, like you just said, they charge per call,
They charge for all support that they render.
which is a call. If
Or
you
a
call
support
PA
ticket.
Connect and say, my monitor's not working, as simple as that is, they're gonna charge us for the call, I'm guessing.
Right.
So, my more worrisome thing is, and it's happened too many times in City Hall, and I've heard it, City Hall's down. That's unacceptable. What is the fallback if something goes down? Where's our redundancy at? Where is our response time? When does someone get in their ass from PA Connect in Greensburg and drives down here and says, ooh, we got a switch that's blown out or something else like this? That's what I'm more concerned about. I'm not concerned about all the other stuff because that kind of falls in its own way.
So a couple of things I'd like to point out. That first off, QuickBooks is the one thing that has been the big problem with keeping it up. And when we call them up to get QuickBooks fixed, it would take them an exceedingly long time to get it fixed. And that was simply them logging on remotely and resetting the server. Through a lot of effort, Linda now has the ability to do that herself. and she's already reset it about 3 times, which is very quick for her to do, and not had to wait on PA Connect to fix it.
Okay, so right there's a perfect example for my question is, as myself, of what I am as an IT person, my first question, that if I was talking to you guys as a consultant, is saying, why the hell has it gone down 3 times, and why hasn't the problem been solved to make
Right.
sure it doesn't happen again?
And I've kind of talked to both PA Connect and Linda, how come nobody's looked at the logs to see why it went down in the first place?
That should be the first thing they're doing.
Exactly.
So, if we're not getting that level of service, and it's causing City Hall to go down, and it's causing pain, and we have our city clerk going down and rebooting a router, something's wrong with us. That is not support. That wouldn't be acceptable where I work for.
That's the reason why I would like to shift to Spiro. That is the primary reason. It all boils down to support.
That's just my 10 cents. It's all support.
I would suggest that you call Spiro, and anybody else who wants to call them, I'll provide the phone number to them. You're more than welcome to call them. But talk to them and ask them those questions. How do you classify your support tickets, and what is your guaranteed response time?
They need to have a level 1, level 2, level 3.
Whatever works.
All right? That's my thought on that.
But as far as PA Connect is concerned, we know how they are. We've suffered through that for many years. Okay, so you'll reach out to them. All right, thank you.
Yes?
We talked about the boards and authorities. We don't need to do that again. Broadband Ready Communities Program. The bottom line is, we received a request from the state of Pennsylvania asking us to pass a resolution that basically said that we will do everything we can to assist in what the city owns when they want to do broadband distribution in the city of Monessen. A couple of things about that. First off, we already have pretty good broadband in the city of Monessen. It doesn't really apply to us too much. Second one is, it really shouldn't cost us a penny to do this, because we've got broadband already. I don't expect that they're gonna come in and say, oh, we need to cut up this road here and put bury a line through this. But that resolution says if they do that, they will pay for fixing the road themselves. They will cover the cost. They will cover the cost of any city infrastructure that they damage in order to deploy their broadband. What it really does is it allows the state to get the money that improves the communications in some of the neighborhoods that are less than fortunate than Monessen. Yock, Sootersville, places like that that are out of the beaten path will have the ability to get broadband, because the cities in Monessen, or the cities in the state supported this, and the state gets the money and it can distribute it appropriately. Do you see any risk to this?
All I have is the resolution. It is asking for
And that's all they're asking us to,
a dollar amount as a match.
for what?
I-
We put 0. We will not match anything.
Is there a program pamphlet or anything that?
It's in your,
Okay.
Yeah,
That right there,
right,
John.
right there.
that starts it.
When you said, so they would cover any damage underground, you said something about that?
Yeah, or any assets that they destroy. What they really asking, does the city own any telephone poles? No, we do not. But as an example, in Aztec, New Mexico, they condemned the lines, and they own the telephone poles, so they were able to run broadband through pole to pole, but we don't own that, so we can't do that. But what we do own is the curbs, the streets, and so forth,
But you would
and the
never,
right-of-ways.
but you would never put broadband underground.
That's not true.
Oh my God, no.
FiOS is.
Is not under, well,
Mhm.
Some of it is.
not all of it is.
Not all of it, but
Most of it's on the pole, because they have a separate section on the pole just for them.
I've seen in other communities, they are starting to come in and bore in the right of way.
Well, they must have all underground utilities in.
No.
That's weird. I don't have a fight in this.
I really don't see any risk to the city myself. We just need to make sure that there's no matching cost due to the city. We can put 0 in those things. make sure we don't have any cost to the city, but I don't see any reason why we shouldn't agree to it and just let the state do their thing, and maybe communities like Sutersville will have better internet.
Does this help bring any other competition into Monessen that we're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. It potentially could reduce the cost of broadband even in Monessen though.
Because in Monessen, you only have one player if you want broadband.
That's right. And typically that's true throughout the state. Well, what I will do then is let's let the solicitor take time to review the program and the application, and we'll take it from there.
Not Fios, that's different.
I mean, there's no contractor signing up for now.
Right.
Right.
That, so the resolution, if you wanna put $0,
Put $0, fill it,
yeah.
sign it, and send it back. We'll put that on the agenda then. If you come up with something, then every now and then we can rethink that. Next one is a discussion to remove the $500 spending limit from the city administrator required department and director of finance and accounting approval of all orders. I understand what's going on here, but I want to be very careful with this. That if we require,
Just want to pause on
So-
the discussion.
Yeah, you just wanna pause on this?
we can,
Yeah, let's just pause on it.
not a problem. Discussion on other things going on in the city. Wow, let me get through this real fast. Mine subsidence. I met with Jalvin Alvey concerning mine subsidence at Summit and 14th Street. I received complaints from the residents in the area, and upon inspection find that both the sidewalk and the road suffer from this, making it a city issue. Jason Alvey is a very respected engineer and has worked with the schools and municipalities in areas of similar issues. When he talks, the DEP pays attention to illustrate his credibility. He indicated that there is clear indication that there's mine subsidence is occurring in the area, and it will be, if it goes unchecked, it will become a major expense both to the homeowner and the city. The homeowner may have mine subsidence insurance. The city has no protection from mines. We cannot buy mine subsidence insurance for our roads and sidewalk. What he's suggesting is that we work on a grant in order to address mine subsidence in this particular area. I'm going to meet with him on Monday and see if we can identify what is available, what it's going to take to do this grant, and so forth. But what this really does is it could become a template for what we have for mine subsidence throughout the city, because it is a problem that addresses much more than just this particular area. And anyway, that was what I met with him for, and the reason why. We had last week, at the request of the RDA, I went to Greensburg and met with the commissioners. And the RDA was there with former mayor making a push to have a gated community put in the city of Monessen. Well, I went so far as today at lunch, I spent a good hour and a half with the people that are doing this. And it's quite clear to me that this is so early in the stages that it's not even worth hardly thinking about or talking about or anything else. I do think it would be appropriate for them to survey whatever piece of property they're talking about so that we know exactly what it is. It's very clear. And once they tell us what property they're looking at, we can look at that property and say, this is what it's going to cost to put in sewer lines, water lines, gas lines, and all this other stuff that we have to provide as a city. The point being with this is, even if when we got to that point and we did all those things, we're still talking about several year project that they are going to do it in phases. The two individuals have a whole variety of companies that they own. I don't think that this is anything that we want to jump up and down and say, hey, we got somebody that's going to come into town and save the community by putting in a $50 million complex. It's just not going to work that way. If anybody got any questions, I'll try to answer them best of my ability, but that's my take on exactly what took place today. back to Motherall, there's 2 homes that were done by Community Action, and I think we've got a solution for this. The first home, they had laid a lateral to the sewer line diagonally across the front of the second home and tied it into a lateral that was really intended for the second home. The second home would have to be tied in to another place down the pipe even further. Now, the the Westmoreland County Land Bank said it's not a problem if they do that. They will give them an easement on that property because they own that piece of property that's adjacent to them. They will give them easement and they can do that. But the whole point being is back up to that first home. There used to be a house there at one time, sometime between 2014 and 2017, that house was demolished, probably through CDBG. But there was a house there at one time. There had to be a sewer connection there for that house. This afternoon, they were digging around trying to find that. I don't know if they found it yet or not, but it's the goal that they find that and to fix it all the right way. Otherwise, it requires all that I just described. Either way, there's a way forward though, so it'll get taken care of. And that's the only things that I really wanted to talk about. So I'm gonna turn it over to Tony. Let's pay some bills and get out of here.
You don't suppose I can just do a motion that says, please do a blanket motion that says, approve A through P?
I'm open.
But yeah, you won't allow.
Your, for all your fund bills, sure, you have requisitions for the sewage project on here.
Yeah.
Now,
And the
if you-
CXX railroad. Let's just,
I'll
hold
fly
on,
through
hold on,
these.
hold
Okay.
on, hold on.
yeah.
No, we're just.
If you look at A through C, that's requisition 25 broken out between your contractor and your engineering firm, all right?
Yes.
D through F, I'll deal with
CSX.
the CSX. G's kind of a standalone.
And then it goes all the way down to
H through M, those are all the regular city fund bills.
And then N is 26.
N through P together.
Right.
The only reason why I made those 3 different bills is I wanted everybody to see how much was going to WEC for engineering, how much for project management, project inspection, and how much was going to the company that was doing the work. But it is all one requisition number 25.
All right, so we're gonna do this. Motion to approve requisition 25 payment of MSCP Phase 3C for $598,561.45 covering work performing with centrifugal casting concrete pipe, 36-inch to 84 inches described in application number 7 of the contract from 9/30/2024 through 11/1/2024 as part of the sewage project, Phase 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to approve requisition 25 payment on the WEC resident project representative invoice number 15 in the amount of $27,164.42 for the work done 9/28/2024 through 11/1/2024 as part of the sewer project Phase 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to approve requisition 25 payment of WC Engineering and Project Management invoices number 14, 15, and 17 totaling $38,167.56 as part of the sewer project Phase 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski, maybe there was a misunderstanding here. The next motion you can make is motion to approve items D through F as they appear on the agenda.
Well, I was just doing everything quickly, fast, just throw the
That's fine. I like that better for myself.
It would, by the time we talk about it and argue about it, we can have half.
Please
done.
continue.
Okay. Motion to pay CSXL Road for the application fee for the crossing at Perenni Boulevard, the amount of $6,000 from line usage fee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay CSX Railroad for the application fee for the crossing at Fifth Street in the amount of $6,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay CSX Railroad for the application fee for the crossing at Fifth Street for the amount of $3,500.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay Pottage Auto for insurance claim for repairs of the police vehicle in the total amount of $8,378.40. Insurance claim check of $8,370.40 plus $500 from the general fund for the deductible payment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Question, is the vehicle up and running now?
I believe it is. Chief?
Vehicle is in service.
So do we have 4 now? That's,
Yeah. When, the other one with the.
Catalytic converters.
The catalytic converter thing, that is, it's still kicking codes again after all that, so we're trying something else.
We still got
Thank you,
vehicle
Chief.
issues.
So, that was $8,000 worth of damage?
The whole side of the vehicle.
What the hell did he hit?
Yeah, it was a dump truck, and it was kind of like a can opener on the side.
Are we having driving lessons? I mean, this isn't just a mirror.
No, it's not a mirror. But as soon as I get a class, I can find a class for them, I'm gonna send them one.
I don't know.
Was there any pursuit going on at the time or anything else?
Yeah, there was just a shooting.
Okay.
He saw a group of individuals running, he went after them.
Okay.
He went after him in the vehicle?
He saw them go off on foot, they ducked off in the alley, whenever he pulled into the alley to go after them, that's whenever the truck was parked in the alley. And he thought he hit the mirror whenever he was pursuing these, individuals. And it was obviously more than a mirror.
So, I'm gonna ask a stupid question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So, when he thought he just broke a mirror, he continued this
Well,
person?
he eventually stopped, and shortly after, it was a matter of, I wouldn't say just a couple of feet, he hopped out of the car and tried running after him. So,
Price of police. Okay. Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay the following invoices from the recreational fund in the amount of $758.92.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay the following invoices from the Parks Fund in the amount of $2,103.03.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay the following invoices from the Liquid Fuels Fund in the amount of $13,935.29.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay the following invoices from the Line Usage Fund in the amount of $101.76.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay the following invoices from the ARP Fund in the amount of $23,390.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay the following invoices from the general account in the amount of $169,149.29.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay requisition 26, WEC Design Phase Invoice Number 15 in the amount of $16,357.75, and the WEC Construction Phase Invoice Number 18 in the amount of $8,024.71 as part of the sewer project Phase 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay requisition 26 WC Residential Project Inspection Invoice number 16 in the amount of $16,035.12 as part of the sewer project Phase 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
Motion to pay requisition 26 Insight Pipe Contracting LLC payment application number 8 in the amount of $4,233.27 as part of the sewer project Phase 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? I got one. How is it that we have $40,000 going to WEC and only $4,000 going to the project itself? I don't have an answer for that, but it just bothers me.
Don't look at me.
Anyway, call the roll.
Councilperson Cosner?
Yes.
Councilman Nestor?
Aye.
Councilperson Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor motion.
Yes.
And quickly, here's the totals. As of today, American Rescue Fund, $66,273.70. Debt service, $779,732.65. Fire escrow account, $21,482.40. General fund, $596,996.58. Grant fund, $73,882.42. Healthcare fund, $4,854.38.
What's in there?
Line usage fund, $682,154.81. Liquid fuels fund, $16,657.79. Parks fund, $35,751.59. Payroll fund, $9,823. Rec fund has $3,572.17. And the refuge account still has $27,574.22. Mayor, that's my report.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn this over to Karen. She's got some suggestions for some of the things that she's involved with.
I'll be quick. I always like to plan ahead, so I'm thinking ahead to 2025. And about our cleanup dates, do you think we could put them on the calendar in advance? Like, I put 2 dates down. They were tentative. I looked at the calendar to see what else was going on. One was near Arbor Day, and then one later September. October's a really busy month. When I looked at it, like every Saturday, there's stuff going on. So what do you all think about putting this on our website to give everybody who might help us or give us money or support time to put it on their calendar first before they're obligated to some other project they're involved with?
It's far enough in the future that my personal feelings are cast these in concrete and let's go with it.
I mean, what do you think, Lois? You were always involved with cleanup and for years, long before I came around.
I say put them on there, that way people can plan for them and plan around them. That's how I look at it.
Good dates
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, they're cool. And then another thing was the community flea market. When I had the one in September, a lot of the vendors really liked the idea. And I put on here that I don't know if we have to charge for it or we decide not to. The idea was to get people in town. And then I was thinking, well, maybe we could split the time, have one here in town and one at City Park to see which people like best. Because I don't know. And these, again, all dates that third Saturday of the month, the first Saturday is St. Vincent de Paul's half price day, and people says don't have that. I don't know, so you can look at these dates and tell me if you think that they're good, if you think we should get involved with this. I think I thought it was a fun activity, I didn't mind doing it, I'd do it again. And then, if you all remember, last September, Charleroi had a farmer's market in Charleroi, and I thought, why can't we do something like that? So I contacted the Charleroi superintendent, who sent me to Highmark, and then we had a little conference with them earlier this week, and the Westmoreland County Food Bank said that they will do 2 drive-through farmers markets for us next year, tentative July and August. There's a lot to be worked out, but I just wanted you to be aware of it. Do you think this is a good idea? I mean, a lot of people said, why don't we do farmers markets? Have the vendors come in like Dudas's or Trax Farm and bring the food here so people who can't get out of town can take advantage of a farmer's market. But these would be through the food bank, and they wouldn't be income eligible. You don't have to interview people to find out how much money they make. it would be first come, first served, we were told.
Yeah, I
So
like the
I
idea.
just wanted to make you aware of it. It's something positive, I think, for Monessen. Think about it. If you think, oh, this isn't a good idea, let us know. But, you know, we were thinking about this.
I would like to make a suggestion that your flea markets that you're doing here, that we pick a place and just do them there regularly, like you have here on your schedule here, once a month, boom, 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 at the same place.
Same place?
And I would suggest that you do it at the same place you did the first one, because it brings people to downtown.
That was my
And,
thought.
and it allows us, the merchants here, the restaurants and all, to learn what we're doing, and they can capitalize on it. It just seems like it would be a positive thing for the downtown area.
I think it would be something to look forward to. So, those are my thoughts, so, you know, let
Anybody
me
have any
know
other-
what y'all think.
I like it. I think it's beautiful, and not to get off topic, but I would like to thank, Councilperson Cosner for writing the handbook down, for the Civic Center. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
that again, make comments.
No, I
This
like-
is
no,
all what I
no,
do
I
is
wanna
just
thank you for it. Thank you.
copying what somebody else has done, but I need your input to tell me,
I read through some of that.
well,
I didn't see anything.
those weren't my thoughts.
Yeah, but still, thank you for putting
Oh,
that
you're
together.
welcome.
Does anybody else have anything else that they are thinking they want to put on the agenda for next week that we need to talk about, discuss, or otherwise?
My only really quick question is, what from this is going to go on the agenda?
Everything that we talked about for discussions,
You've got to be kidding me.
but it'll be something that we understand, that everybody understands it. We just go boom, 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 boom. At least that's the hopes.
Well, you won't go boom, 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 boom.
I mean, there were things that you didn't wanna move forward.
And we can talk about those later, I guess. All right, well, if nobody's got anything else, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So move. Motion to adjourn tonight's meeting, December 12th at 8:49 PM.
Is there a second?
Second.
No, what? Oh, yes.
Seconded by Tony.
Oh.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The meeting is
No,
adjourned.
next week, don't, is it?